Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? As we inch closer to the draft, naturally you're seeing more and more mock drafts. And I saw a couple today. I saw Pete Prisco at CBS had the Saints at 14, taking Olu Fashanu out of Penn State. I saw a Pro Football Focus mock draft that had the Saints trading up to number 10 to take Olu Fashanu. You know, that's my pick. Like, if I have my dream scenario, the Saints land Olu Fashanu out of Penn State. But really, ultimately, what I feel more than anything is that the Saints at 14, or in round one, whenever they pick, they have got to go offensive line. It's just the most dramatic need. It's the weakest position on the team, and you've got to be able to address that in this draft. Well, Matt Miller over at ESPN attempted a really difficult task. He attempted a 7-round mock draft, like made every single pick of the draft, and he had trades in there as well. So it's obviously not going to go out this way. And the trades were in the first round, so he didn't have later round trades when there's a ton of them. And to be very clear, the Saints have, as we've talked about, a 1, a 2, 4 5s, and 2 6s. So they have 8 picks. And I do not expect the New Orleans Saints to make 8 draft selections in this April's draft. They are a team that perennially trades up. They are impatient. They value quality over quantity. This happens to be a year where I would flatly disagree with that approach, because I think the only way the Saints do remake their roster is quantity of young starters on rookie deals. I mean, the case in point is the 2017 draft, where you nailed the top of the draft with Lattimore and Ramczyk and Marcus Williams, but you also got Trey Hendrickson in round 3 and Alvin Kamara in round 3. All throughout that draft, it was starter. That's how you remade your roster and sort of hit reset on your awful contract practices. So it is a year where I think, yeah, they could take 8 rookies and have them all make the team and become starters, and that would be awesome if it worked out. I just don't think the Saints are actually going to do that. Like, I cannot imagine. What's the most impatient thing in the world you can imagine? A child having to wait in line at Disney World? Like, what's the most impatient thing? Neither of you, you're a 6 and you're a 9 in the Enneagram. Neither of them think quickly on their feet. They got to think. They need time to process. Whatever is the most impatient thing in the world, a puppy dog on a leash with a squirrel in the yard that's just aching to get off the leash. That's going to be Mickey Loomis in the rest of this Saints draft room, sitting there after their second-round pick. They got a second-round pick, so they're drafting early in round 2. They don't have a 3, a 4, a 3 or a 4, and they got 4 fifth-round picks. So they pick 14th, 45th, then 150th. Do you honestly think the New Orleans Saints are going to sit in that draft room and let 104 picks scroll off the board before they pick again? Ain't an Ice Cube's chance in hell that the Saints sit there for 104 picks before picking again. So they're going to package picks. They're going to trade up. It's what they do. But this exercise was interesting because Matt Miller did a 7-round mock draft, and he made all the picks for the Saints. And the direction they went kind of illustrates what could, not saying will to this point, but what could happen for the Saints if they are patient in this year's draft. Hit me with some draft music, Muse, if you would, or some NFL music, if you would. Muse, if you would. There it is. Thank you. Every now and again, we like to work in some production elements into the show. Dresses things up a little bit. Breaks it up from just me talking a lot. Usually that's when Muse could say something, too.
Well, I had to grab the mic,
Todd
man.
Peterson.
Chill out.
Ted Peterson.
Got him.
Not talking to you anymore.
Hey, Paulie.
Yeah,
You think he's mad?
a little bit.
Oh, look at him. He's pouting.
That was a good one.
The problem, Greg RN.
That was a good
That'll bring him around. I knew it would.
That was a good one.
Hit me with my draft sounder, Muse. All right, with the 14th overall pick, Matt Miller in a 7-round mock has the New Orleans Saints taking an offensive tackle, but it's Talise Fuaga, the offensive tackle out of Oregon State. So can we all agree this is a good? I want your interaction here. Can we all agree Good pick. You're going offensive tackle 14?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Any objection at all?
No.
Okay, so you get your offensive tackle at 14. So they keep the 45th pick, which is the pick they get from Denver. Denver's 2. And with the 45th pick, they get a wide receiver. They take Roman Wilson, the wide receiver out of Michigan. Remember, Roman Wilson wore number 1 at Michigan, a veteran player who was a super productive target for J.J. McCarthy in that offense. Now, they didn't throw it a ton, and a lot of times they didn't have to throw it a ton because they were a run-heavy offense, but he was their really veteran, experienced, talented wide receiver. Like if Roman Wilson's on the board there at 45, I like it. You go offensive tackle, receiver.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it looks like they've addressed defensive end right now with Chase Young and linebacker with Willie Gay, so safety's really the only other major need I can think of, so I'm good with receiver.
I would say your biggest needs in this draft, you would have addressed there if you go offensive tackle, receiver. 1, 2. So they don't pick again. 104 picks come off the board, and if the Saints stay pat, at 150, they go Isaiah Adams, an offensive guard out of Illinois. Now, remember, Brett Bielema is the coach there now. They've become more of a run-first offense. That's what Brett Bielema does. You're talking about a veteran guy there, big physical interior player. You don't know if Nick Saldiveri is going to emerge into a starter who you took last year round 4. What is going to become of Trevor Penning, I don't know. But you have major issues on your offensive line. That'd be 2 out of your first 3 picks going O-line.
Give me all the offensive linemen.
I agree. Paulie, any objection?
I'm the same.
The guy who has
need depth.
The guy who has the big fleur-de-lis on the back glass of his truck. I will defer to you, Paulie. If I'm wrong, you tell me. Okay. At number 168, they go cornerback Johnny Dixon out of Penn State. Now, the thing that I would look at here and say, all right, like who else is on the board at 168 if you're looking corner there? I don't hate going corner. I don't hate it. But the thing that has me concerned, like really concerned at this point, is safety. Because obviously Marcus May walked. Maybe they're saying, look, we trust Jordan Howden and Jonathan Abram. Like Jonathan Abram's a former first-round pick. He started last year when May was injured, and Howden was a good rotational piece. Maybe they feel really good about those two guys. Don't feel like they need to address. They haven't addressed safety in free agency, so maybe they're good there.
No, I'm with you. I would have looked either safety. I mean, I don't hate going DB, but I would go safety over corner. I mean, you mentioned all those other guys. Tyrann Mathieu also not getting any younger.
For what it's worth, just a few picks later, they have Malik Mustafa, a safety out of Wake Forest, going to the Niners. So, and by the way, the Saints have 2 more picks before Mustafa came off the board. So hit the next one. So the Saints taking Johnny Dixon at 168, then at 170, just 2 picks later, Devin Leary, the quarterback out of Kentucky. This is the first time I have a major issue. You took a quarterback in round 4 last year in Jake Haener. You restructured Carr, which essentially marries you to Derek Carr for the next 2 years. If you take a quarterback in this draft, if you take a project quarterback, outside the top 5 guys, you are conceding that Derek Carr is not your guy. And if that's the case, why did you restructure him, tethering yourself to him for 2 more years? This would be awful to me if you take Devin Leary in this draft. Or any quarterback in this draft.
I don't think the Saints are drafting a quarterback this year. So, yeah.
5 picks later at 175, still in the 5th round, Tyrone Tracy, running back out of Purdue. I think I don't hate the idea of going running back because Kamara's aging. Jamal Williams didn't perform for you or produce for you last year. You drafted Kendre Miller, who I think we're all optimistic that he can be really good, but he spent much of last year injured. And if you got a guy that you think can maybe bring some value, running backs are so cheap now, why not? Late 5th round pick, I'm good with it if it's there.
Sure, CV hit.
I love the next 2. Again, this is Matt Miller's 7-round mock draft with the first of the 2 Saints 6th round picks at number 190 overall. Matt Miller has the Saints taking Jaheim Bell, the tight end out of Florida State. That's the kind of thing. And by the way, I'll point out also, Jaheim Bell was a Senior Bowl participant. So You're talking about a guy. There are a few teams that value the Senior Bowl like the Saints do. They go and they draft players who participate in the Senior Bowl. I mean, you can run through a long list of guys. If it was Trevor Penning, you could think back to Adam Troutman or Trey Hendrickson. Like, the Saints go to the Senior Bowl and they make the most out of that. They take dudes that play the Senior Bowl. Maybe it's just because I watched Jaheim Bell play against LSU for 2 years, and that is your prototypical new age tight end. He is the long, 6'5", big-bodied receiver that can also be sort of an inline player. If he's there in round 6, I would be ecstatic to add a guy like Jaheim Bell to the Saints tight end room in round 6.
What's his relative athletic score?
Oh, Jesus. Hit the last sounder. That would be the censure. And at 199 overall with the final pick, Matt Miller in round 7 has the Saints going back to another Senior Bowl alum, another Michigan Wolverine, Jalen Harrell, the defensive end from Michigan. So the Saints have been Ohio State U for so long, the pipeline from C-Bus. They got Matt Miller has the Saints taking 2 Michigan Wolverines in this draft. Roman Wilson, the wide receiver, in round 2, and then Jalen Harrell, the defensive end, in round 6. So there's your other defensive lineman there in this draft. And another guy who participated in the Senior Bowl. That's, for me, that exercise, while I understand fully, it's not going to play out that way. And it's not going to be those players. It's an illustration of the caliber of player that might be available when you're making those picks. And for a team that is so desperate to make over its roster, if you actually are patient and make these picks, you have an opportunity to add 6 or 7 or 8 starting caliber players to your roster when you desperately need it. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.